He visited the country, bought property here, maintains ties with the national government, and is one of the top planetary moguls. We are talking about Peter
Thiel.
And well, there is a lot of information that constantly links him to our country for various reasons, right? And one of the postcards left by the holiday in the city of Buenos Aires.
Last Monday was that of a group of people who dressed up as Gandalf, the famous wizard, who is one of the main characters in the Lord of the Rings saga, to protest in front of the mansion that Peter Thiel bought in the Palermo neighborhood. Why?
Did they dress up as Gandalf? What does the Lord of the Rings have to do with this? Because Peter Thiel's company is called Palantir. Palantir is, in the universe of the Lord of the Rings, a very strong reference that also alludes to the world of magic. So, it was no accident
that all these protesters dressed up as Gandalf. No one really understood what was happening, but well, you have to have that background a bit to understand, right?
Right. I certainly don't have it. Exactly.
The videos that circulated on social media, which are the ones we are seeing right there, escalated, and the interest in knowing what was behind this movement grew stronger. The costumes, well, they are clear, right? Dark gray robes down to the knees, hats, beards, and glasses. A clear homage that emulated the character from Tolkien's novel. At the front of the group, a banner drew attention with a slogan that combined English and Spanish. You shall not de tu madre. You shall not pass in English and no pasaras in Spanish. It is very famous and belongs to the first film, The Fellowship of the Ring. In that film, the wizard who guides the protagonist Frodo through the mines of Moria shouts it at the Balrog. It is a beast of darkness that emerges to hunt them down. Well, the same proclamation was used against Thiel. And why is this happening? What does this mean? What does it mean? That beyond his time in the country, meeting with the government and his presence locally, Peter Thiel is one of the architects of contemporary tech capitalism and a key actor at the intersection of data, power, and geopolitics. And according to reports, he held a meeting with Santiago Caputo, one of the main architects of the national government's political and communication scheme, and also reportedly maintained contact channels with branches of the executive branch, including the foreign ministry and the presidency. In parallel to his meetings with the ruling party, the co-founder of Palantir and also of PayPal, which is another one of his companies.
Clearly, not for sending money, right?
Exactly. A strong move into the real Argentine economy. In the second quarter, he bought shares of Vista, the oil company operating in Vaca Muerta, for $76 million. It also emerged that the businessman made a public appearance at the Monumental Stadium when the Super Classico between River and Boca was played.
Right, and precisely, Gulo, what you mentioned, his mansion has been center stage, right? With this demonstration by a group that is not yet identified, who have called themselves the Gandalfs of the South, as you mentioned, but whose? In principle, membership isn't clear. I mean, right? Or what it's about. Although, well, there are clearly political and other types of motivations, right? Well, he was also linked to the land law, right? He was signaled as one of the potential buyers of, hundreds of thousands of hectares in Argentina. Right. This mansion was acquired by him for $5 million a few months ago. So, well, it's the one we are seeing in the footage. At first, it was believed he had rented it and would be in the country for a few months. But then it became known that this transaction was a purchase, of this house located on Dardo Rocha at 1900, one of the most sought-after blocks in the entire area. Exactly. So, well, it had previously belonged to a financier, Juan Ball, who lives most of the year in the United States and sold it to the American. A little bit to explain, right? What was this about the Gandalfs? This social media issue that made so much noise. Nobody really understood what it was about. Well, it has to do with Lord of the Rings, with Palantir, which is one of Peter Thiel's companies, and with this magnate's connection to Argentina, a very controversial figure, moreover for his political positions and his actions, right?
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
The Palantir thing is very odd.
A lot of people feel that this is the precursor to a social credit score, a digital kind of police state, and that it's being done under the guise of security, that you will be safer.
Which is what the Patriot Act was brought through with.
That's exactly right.
It's always the case. It's always the case. They always sneak it in like, you got to be safe.
Yeah.
And then you get the Benjamin Franklin quote.
The people that want security, right? They something about they deserve neither.
Yeah.
The trade liberty for security deserve neither. Yeah, I mean it's true. I just think Peter Thiel's giving a 4-part lecture on the Antichrist.
Yeah, that seems odd.
4 part. Well, here's what's really wild to me: 4 parts. It's not just one. One lecture on the Antichrist would be insane. This guy's doing a series. He's doing a 4-part lecture on the Antichrist, and nobody in his inner orbit went, Peter, how about one lecture on the Antichrist or no lectures? Not 4.
Well, I don't think he understands the optics.
He certainly does not.
Yeah.
It's odd. Yeah.
Tickets sold out.
Well, of course.
Well, it's a private lecture at a club in San Francisco about the Antichrist. What does he know about the Antichrist? Is he like...
I'm guessing a lot.
If you told me there was a movie and there was a guy who played the Antichrist, zoom in on that image of him.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, is that him? Is that the Antichrist?
This is like me doing a 4-part lecture on Long Island racism. Just to show everybody, how much I know about it and how scary it is and how we got to watch out for it. But it's totally not me or anyone I know. It's no one that's ever been in my backyard, but those others.
Well, I just don't understand, like, why. What I would like. Someone saw it. Someone saw one of the lectures that he did on the Antichrist.
Was it good?
It might have been Duncan. He said it was boring.
It's of course going to be boring.
But I don't understand, like, what is he doing?
He's trying to prove he's not the Antichrist.
By ratting him out.
By doing it. He's like, if I was that's probably how the lecture starts. He goes, now if I was the Antichrist, I obviously wouldn't be doing this lecture.
You know what it's like?
Yeah.
It's like those really shitty men
Yeah.
that become male feminists.
Right.
And then they tweet, believe all women.
Yeah. Well,
and
no,
you're
no,
like,
yes.
hey.
Yeah.
I know you.
The power of Isengard is at your command, Sauron, Lord of the Earth. Ask Warrior, build me an army worthy of Mordor.
Do you know the Lord of the Rings movie has places in it that still exist in the current day Ethiopia? And do you know, it is highly influenced by Ethiopian history. Let me show you. The Lord of the Rings have the city of Gorgoroth. In Ethiopia we have the city of Gorgora. In Lord of the Rings we have the city of Harad. And in Ethiopia we have Harar. Lord of the Rings has Barad-dûr, and Ethiopia has Bahir-dar. Lord of the Ring have Rohan, and in Ethiopia we have Roha. And Roha, which is now known as the current place Lalibela, has always been known for its rich horse riding culture. Even today, much like the riders of Rohan in Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings have Gondor, and Ethiopia has Gondar. And here is where it gets interesting. Roha was the capital of Ethiopia for centuries, even after its name was changed to Lalibela in the 13th centuries. Eventually the capital was moved to Gondor, which, just like Gondoland of Stones, is famous for its medieval type stone castles. It gets even better. The capital of Gondor in Lord of the Rings is Minas Tirith, and Ethiopia had Emperor Minas. In the Lord of the Ring we have the White Tree of Gondo, which represents hope, peace, and the power of the kings. And in the middle of Ethiopia, in Gondar, stands a 300-year-old tree named Jontakel, planted by the city's founder, Emperor Fasilides, in the 15th century, as a symbol of guess what? Hope, peace, and the power of the emperors. And lastly, Lord of the Rings have Mount Doom, which in its original language is translated as Fiery Mountain. And Ethiopia has a mountain named Erta Ali. In the local language, it is called Smoking Mountain.